Shit. Well, if they can do that, then God bless them. The internet went out about 25 minutes ago, but I reset and it came back, and I was watching something on Netflix. It seems to have studied itself. So I was watching the Judd Apatow episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and then
and I just bought a brand new Google Wi-Fi mesh router 3-pack. This is to extend your Wi-Fi through your home. Right. It's 7,005. Oh shit! I overpaid.
Oh, you may have. Yeah.
No,
Did you try Amazon? Sure.
No, I'm going to get it at Best Buy. Everybody has the same price. There is no variance. Believe me. It is $199.99. Okay.
Not $200. Not 201.
Right. And but by buying it at Best Buy, I get 3 months free of YouTube Premium.
Oh, with no ads and everything. Cool.
I guess. Yeah. Oh, and we just need your credit card number to verify that you are you who bought the items, so that we can make sure that your 3 months.
It's 56124. Fuck you. Expiration date. Kiss my ass. That's my number. I've had it for a while.
All right. Well, let's see if we can. Come on, you little bastard. I think it did it. You know what? If it didn't do it, then I've been lied to.
You've been lied to.
Yeah. Okay, we're rolling. Let's do it. Ready?
Go for it.
The Brad and Britt cast is live here in the 1:30 hour on Tuesday, 1:30 Eastern hour. Thank you for joining us later on for you podcasters. But it's as fresh as the fallen snow outside your window right now. Just in case you didn't know that.
I see what you did there.
All right, let's play a game. Let's play a game called Is It a Bubble? Right.
All right.
$5,200,000 for a LeBron James rookie card. Bubble or no bubble?
That whole thing feels like a bubble. The whole card thing. I know a guy that does the card thing, and he's apparently raking in thousands of dollars on his YouTube channel and shit. It feels bubble-licious to me, for sure.
Well, I don't think it is. Here's why. First of all, we could have said this 10 years ago and 20 years ago and 30 years ago.
Well, it's just a big bubble. It's just a big, expansive, extending, decades-long bubble. That's what it is.
It's not a bubble unless it breaks, unless that card suddenly becomes worth half of that or a quarter of that, and that doesn't seem to happen. And there's a reason that I don't think it's a bubble. Although before I say why it's not a bubble, I'm surprised that a card like that would be so rare, because it's not as if LeBron James was a surprise superstar who years later, oh my God, I wish I had his rookie card. Nobody knew how good he was going to be.
Right.
And so he was the most hyped, famous rookie maybe in the history of basketball, right? He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 3, or was it 2? No, I think he was 16, right?
He was a prodigy, and everybody knew it. And he was going to be the number one pick, and he was the next great thing. Yeah.
So I would have thought that back then, and there were card collectors then, there were freaks then, that they all would have grabbed as many of those as possible right at the beginning, because that was a pretty good bet to make. That was a real solid bet on a LeBron James rookie card. All right. That being said, I don't think it's a bubble because number one, we haven't seen anything in terms of it backing off in collectibles like that. And number two, they can't make any more of them. There's a limited supply. They already exist. There aren't going to be no new cards to bid. There are no new Rembrandts. There are no new great paintings. Even in the case of gold and Bitcoin, they can still find more gold, and they can still buy a bunch more electric cords and Generac generators and make more Bitcoin. But they can't make more LeBron James rookie cards. So I'm declaring it not a bubble. And the truth is, I don't think I overpaid at $5.2 million. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The thing that's hot in that collectibles thing as far as sports are these NFTs, these non-fungible tokens. Are you familiar with these things?
Now, see, to me, that isn't even a bubble. That's a fake bubble. That isn't even if this was Letterman and it was, does it float or does it not float? Is it real? Is it not? Is it a bubble, not bubble? I declare that one to be a bubble because one day somebody is going to just pull the rug out and say, this is just bullshit. We just made this shit up. Yeah. You have a permanent digital right to the original post of my penis from 2004.
Well, come on, but that's been widely distributed. That's going to make it really just kind of down.
No, even worse, it's been widely discredited. And speaking of deflated, hi-yo.
NFTs stand for, I'm going to sound like the guy on the porch again. NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens. It's a digital thing that you can buy. It's supposed to be completely unique to you. And when the guy explained it to me, I said, well, this seems like it will be ripe for the hacking, that some Chinese guy be able to make a bunch of fakes, send them out, make them look real, and then you pay $1,000 for something that's inauthentic. And he goes, no. They've got a way of absolutely authenticating it digitally, and you're the only one that owns it, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like a 3 or 5 second clip of Giannis dunking, and you own it.
It doesn't mean anything because, in my opinion, of course, there's if people are willing to pay for something, it has value. I get that. Please, no free market lectures from the usual suspects. And you know who you are.
I do miss that from the radio. Getting from the libertarians are like, you just don't understand. It's simple economics 101. It's supply and demand. It would I didn't get that.
In this particular case, since everything that is under this umbrella is digital, and we know there are an infinity amount of perfect digital copies of practically everything, right? Every picture. Then for someone to have designated the original of that is worth something, that is fool's gold. It's just waiting to be exposed. It will be one day. I don't know when. That's not where Brad puts, the $300 that he has saved up over the years. I don't put the 300 into non-fungible tokens. So again, that's me. And I know I don't understand anything. I'm an idiot, but I ain't
somebody's going to make some money on it, but it ain't going to be me. I mean, somebody's going to grab it, and then somebody's going to lose their ass on it. And I'm not going to be either of those people.
It's not and by the way, I think you can join me in saying, by the time you and I recognize that, we better get in on this,
it's over.
That's the top. That's the ceiling.
It's already left the station.
The floor is about to drop down, and we're going to just go zoom, boom, we're done, we're broke. That would happen.
Wikipedia says the NFT market tripled in 2020, reaching more than $250 million, Brad.
I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything. Those numbers, they mean nothing, because you know who's most involved in this?
Who's that?
Really, 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 really rich people for whom if they decided they wanted the original SpongeBob SquarePants first second of existence digitally, and they were going to pay $10 million for it because when they were little, they were SpongeBob SquarePants freaks, and now they're some rich guy who owns a tech company, and he's worth $3 billion. So he pays $10 million for it, and the money means nothing to him. It doesn't.
But you don't. But you don't. You don't
what
feel
that
like
does is.
You don't feel like the Picasso of the 21st century is going to be like, and you're going to be able to show on your phone, look, I've got a blah 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 original. It's a blah blah.
Then you
original.
can hold up your phone. Wait, you can hold up your phone and say, hey, guess what? Mine looks exactly like yours. It has every characteristic of yours. It isn't a forgery of a painting of a real masterpiece painting is still a forgery, and theoretically it should be worth nothing. But if it's good enough and it fools someone, they think they have the real thing, but they don't. And they don't have the real thing. But that's a painting.
Yeah.
Digital everything is nothing. It's nothing. And again, we can talk ourselves off the moon on this, and we're not going to. And I think this is the greater fool theory taken to the umpteenth level. And I think this is equivalent to the 17th century Dutch tulip craze, which was the original Ponzi scheme. Everybody lost their shirts in Holland in the 17th century, and it's the basis for every scam since then. And I don't think this is any different. Tulip bulbs were very valuable in Holland in the 17th century for a while.
Did you want to? Did you have another bubble that you wanted to try to throw at me to see if it was a bubble, or was LeBron the only one?
That was just that was it.
There you go.
I don't think we have to go. I think we need to catch up on a little old news, new news, stupid Fox and Rupert Murdoch shit.
Okay.
Because they're 2 for 2. They're 2 for 2 in the last 2 days.
All right.
Two for 2. On Monday, John Roberts, the straight journalist who covers the White House for Fox, he's a straight, he was at CBS.
Yeah.
He's Canadian.
Yeah.
He's a real journalist. He got up there and did a third-rate, half-ass fake apology, but not an apology and not a real walkback over the famous Joe Biden only wants to let you have 4 pounds of meat per year story. They walked it back. They said it wasn't real. It didn't happen that way. And they came up with bullshit language to make it seem as if they really weren't lying the whole way through. And they were. That's the Fox version of an apology on TV. And then today, the New York Post, which is the written version of Fox News, distributed in the New York area. There you go. Correct. The New York Post on Tuesday walked back a fake story that was a cover. It was the front page. It was a big front pager a couple days ago that said that at the border where there's a crisis, children were being handed Kamala Harris's children's book. That's what they were being given, which, of course, is the ultimate right-wing, fuck you, black vice president, has no clue as to what she's doing, but is only interested in making some money as the vice president, and somebody had to pay for those books. So at the border, it's not really a crisis. If the children could just be taught to read Kamala Harris's book, everything would be okay, right? Liberals? Yeah. That was the angle of the story. And guess what? It was not true. It was a lie. It was a lie. The real story was that one copy of that book was donated by someone somewhere along the border. And that turned into that. There you go. There it is. There it is. We've got to post it if you're watching. The headline says New York Post quietly deletes bogus stories, claiming Kamala Harris's book was being given to migrant kids. When, of course, we conservatives, we who really care about people, not you liberals who pretend you do, we know that children need a good home, a solid nuclear family, a mommy and a daddy, and an education. Not some kind of liberal left-wing woke book from Kamala Harris, right?
Exactly.
So every day they get caught, but we always have to remember that the walk back or the correction is usually heard by who knows what small percentage of the people who hear the original story, and it takes on a life of its own and it never really dies, right?
Well, that's absolutely true. There's no question about it. It's been proven time and time again over the past several years, for sure.
Yeah.
Now I'm posting now. Look on your screen. You're going to see the most important story of the day in just a moment. There it is. Boom.
Yeah, I know. Okay. See, all right. Can I stop us here?
The people now, if you're watching, what you're seeing is a headline that says Donald Trump seizes on lowest Oscar ratings to bash telecast. Don't be so politically correct and boring. The Donald says.
So, before we spend way too much time on reacting to what he says,
right.
All right, just remember, we already said this yesterday. You and I said this. Everyone knows this is true. There's no question about it that it is true. And he isn't breaking any new ground, nor is he staking out a claim for right-wingedness or intelligence. And by the way, the Oscars have been politically correct and boring for about 50 years.
I'd say
you old people may remember when Marlon Brando refused to accept his Academy Award and sent out Pocahontas to accept it for him. Okay,
or Sashi
and I'm using right,
yeah.
Exactly. Who then I believe posed in Playboy later on. Okay,
oh, wow,
so
good for her.
I think that was the perfect. The perfect triangle there. So Trump, whatever Trump says about the Oscars, fuck him. He's bitter. He could never win an Emmy. Okay, so he's just a.
But Brad, he put out his statement. He put out his statement. It's so important. It's so there's a statement. It's huge. He's sticking up for us.
Right.
God bless him.
We've got a lot of coronavirus vaccine news, and we'll start with this one. And I hope that the world doesn't perceive it this way, but I'm afraid that they do at this point, because we volunteered to distribute a lot of AstraZeneca vaccine. You know, the vaccine that is not approved for use in the United States, but we're more than happy to share it with you. So, hey, guess what? I've got some shitty clothes in my closet. I was going to give them to Goodwill, but I'll just give them to you.
Yeah, that's good.
They're not good enough for me to wear anymore. I mean, I hope it isn't thought of that way, but it probably will be. Don't you think?
Might be. Well, what's going on in India? What's going on in India right now is just dreadful. I mean, they're going through hell in that place, right?
Yeah. And by the way, you know, who knows how many new cases per day? They keep putting the number 330,000. You know, it could be 5 times. They could have millions per day with the size of that population.
Sure.
But the political part of that story, at least for me, that I noticed yesterday, was that apparently Joe Biden was on the phone with the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, who is closing in on being a Putin, President Xi kind of president for life, dictator of a democratic country.
Wow.
India. He's a very questionable character. And you may recall, and I can't remember the date on this, I don't know if this was last summer or maybe 18, 20 months ago, but the Prime Minister of India was talking trash, and he was talking like a Trumper, okay? He was putting up that kind of persona in India. He wasn't going to take any crap, and he was going to be that guy. And Trump loved him. And if you remember, I think they had a gigantic rally in, of all places, Houston, at whatever the large arena was there. It was packed with Indian Americans, and that was thought of as a brilliant political stroke by Donald Trump to appeal to a segment of the voting population that might not be predisposed to vote Republican or be for Trump. But hell, you bring in the big guy from India and he makes a speech and the two of them hug and they're best friends.
That's the Toyota. I believe that's the Toyota Center, is the big indoor arena where the Rockets play and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the place where they have the rally. Boom. There's a good picture of Trump and the guy together.
All right. So this is
December of last year. U.S. Honor, Legion of Merit.
But I think that story that may be an update.
Yeah. That's just a showing
that's
how
that's not the rally. That's not the rally.
No, but that's him It's him giving the guy a medal and then hugging him.
Right. After he'd already allegedly lost the election that he didn't lose, that we all know that he won.
Exactly. Exactly. Just a couple of weeks before the insurrection, that was really just a peaceful protest that was infiltrated by Antifa. that as it turns out, didn't kill a police officer because the guy had a stroke and that had nothing to do with it.
So as usual, it takes me 5 minutes to get to my point. My point is that Joe Biden was on the phone with Prime Minister Modi, who, for crass political reasons, in the way Donald Trump would operate, would be, if you're for my friend, I hate you. So
exactly.
Joe Biden theoretically should not even be on speaking terms with this son of a bitch, because this is a foreign leader who came to our country and endorsed one of the presidential candidates, Donald Trump, the president at the time. So did Joe Biden hold a grudge? Did Joe Biden play that card? Did Joe Biden become that guy? No, he got on the phone and said to the Prime Minister of India, you have been there for us. We will be there for you. What can we do? Because India is in terrible shape. And I'm going to break some ground here with this statement. You know what? None of us is safe if everyone else isn't safe.
Holy shit.
This is a worldwide pandemic. And if people are still getting sick all over the world, it's not going to be good for the United States. I'm the first one to think of that. I'm the first one to say that, as you know. Nobody
How did
else
you
thought
do
of
it?
that. So, yeah. So, we'll help out. But think of, if you want to play the turnaround game, if there was a foreign leader who had endorsed Joe Biden and then Trump won, and then Trump had to deal with that foreign leader now in his second term, what do you think he'd do? What do you think he'd do?
You just said it. Joe Biden, what he did basically is not act like Donald Trump. I mean, he would have been completely petulant. He would have not taken the guy's call. He would have pawned it off to Jared. Jared would have fucked it up and talked about how great they were doing. That's how that would have worked.
Yeah, by the way, thanks for taking it to a new level of pettiness. I appreciate that. That was
I try.
Done.
I do my best.
Excellent.
But I think it also has the ring of truth to it. So yeah, it would have been complete. He would have not helped the guy out at all. Said go pound salt, and then people in India would have continued to die, and he wouldn't have cared because those people couldn't vote for him anyway. So fuck you. That's essentially Donald Trump's raison d'etre as he moves up to New Jersey for the summer. Yeah.
All right, we got a bunch of COVID mass stories here. Let's start with the women's basketball coach down in the Bayou at LSU. Yeah. She just got hired. Her name is Kim Mulkey.
Hall of Fame coach.
She's a winner. She is a winner, right? And the first thing she is doing is holding a press conference and ripping off her mask and says, I'm going to take this damn mask off because I got a lot to say. Boom. All right. So she's all in as being an anti-mask whack job. Good for her. Way to go. Way to start off. Way to show way to show your independence there. That's very, 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 very impressive. How can you argue with somebody?
Just hired from Baylor University, of course, in Waco, Texas. That's her ripping off the mask and saying, I don't want to wear this damn mask. I got a lot to say, as you were talking about there, at Louisiana State University.
Yep. All right. Story number 2. You've seen it. You've heard it. Been brewing for a couple days. And I don't know what to make of this. That now there are official new CDC guidelines for wearing masks outdoors. The guidelines that if you have been at all operating with an IQ over 7 for the last year, you've known intuitively that this was the way that you should operate. That if you are out by yourself outside,
Yeah.
away from people, you didn't need to wear a mask outside. And that if you were around a crowd of people, that you probably still did need to wear a mask. And that's irrespective of whether you are vaccinated or not, because of course you can't know who around you is not vaccinated. And there is still enough interaction with a large group of people that if you're outside, even, you might still want to wear a mask. But if you're vaccinated, you're pretty much good to go outside in practically all circumstances. Okay. And the fact that that's now, quote, official is, it's kind of sad. It's kind of ridiculous.
Right.
But we have all these people like the coach down there at LSU, and we have this crazy lady and her husband down in Florida with this stupid school. Have you heard about this dopey ass school that these?
I was looking at this. Yeah, this is interesting story.
What the hell is this all about?
I don't know.
What the hell? Private school warns its teachers not to get vaccinated. Not to get vaccinated. This is called the Centner Academy, CENTNER, named after the woman who founded the place, Leila Centner, and her rich husband, David. And it appears that those who have received the injections may be transmitting something from their bodies. Something is coming out of their bodies. So I don't want you, if you're a teacher at my school, to come to my school and teach if you have been vaccinated. You must stay away from the students. This is just, and this woman's so fucking off the rails. Guess who the speaker was at the assembly there a few months ago? It was Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy that can't talk. You can't stand to listen to him. Him?
Yeah.
Oh, am I making fun? Am I making fun? I shouldn't make fun.
But it was a really flattering impression, I thought, and accurate as well.
He is a prominent anti-vaccine skeptic. Is he still going out with what's her name? Larry David's wife on Curb
Lori David,
Cheryl Hines.
Cheryl, I don't know. I just know that
not as real, not Lori David. I'm talking about Cheryl Hines from the show. They were a thing for a long time. They may still be a thing.
After listening to Larry David's voice all of those years, I guess his voice doesn't sound so annoying. So I could see how she would want to be with that guy.
Yeah. Now, do you want to handle the Tucker take on all this crap, the shit that he threw out on Monday?
He says that if you see a kid with the mask on, you should call the cops. That was the story that I saw. He's encouraging, as a giant asshole that he is, that if you see a child wearing a mask alone, that you should call the cops. And I don't understand what this accomplishes. I know what it accomplishes in my life is it makes my life a whole lot worse. And then you're just fucking up what the cops are trying to do and what 911 centers are trying to do and keeping people safe. But I don't know what his end game is in his stupid, insane
I'll tell you
world.
what his end game is.
Help me out.
This is very, very, very simple. This is all about staking out this territory of pugnacious opposition to logic, and you better be on my team, and they're out to get you. They're out to control your kids. You have to, he's very precise with his language. That's what makes him so dangerous.
I'll give
That's
you that.
what makes Carlson so dangerous. He says, your response when you see children wearing masks as they play should be no different from your response to seeing someone beat a kid in Walmart. Call the police immediately. Yeah. Call Child Protective Services. Keep calling until someone arrives. What you're looking at is abuse. It's child abuse, and you're morally obligated to attempt to prevent it. Now, Britt, we can do some role playing here. All right, you can
Sure.
be the 911 operator,
That'd
and
be a
I will be.
stretch. I'll try to put myself.
I
in
will
that,
be
in
the
that role.
person. Yes,
Yeah.
no, I will be the bystander who sees a child in a mask, and I'm taking my cues from Tucker Carlson, and I need to call 911 on his orders because clearly a child wearing a mask under any circumstance is equivalent to someone beating the tar out of a kid on aisle 4 in Walmart. Okay.
All right, go ahead. Call 911. Ring ring. Hey, this is Davenport Police Fire. What do you need? Police fire.
There's a guy. There's a guy on aisle 4 making his kid wear a mask. What are you going to do about it? Come on, get the cops over here. Come on, man.
Karen, that's not illegal. The police would not respond to that.
What about Tucker Carlson? He said it was bad. It was like beating a kid.
I would like to beat Tucker Carlson, but no, there would be no police response to having a child wear a mask. That's called smart. That's called being a good parent.
All right, here we go. Later, after he got done with that bit of wisdom, he drew a parallel between vaccinated adults wearing masks outdoors and, well, here we go. Here it is. Watching a vaccinated person, this is the quote, someone with the antibodies wearing a mask outside is like watching a grown man expose himself in public.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
That's disgusting. Put it away, please. We don't do that here.
So is this the same thing as making a child use the same bathroom as a transgendered person? Is that level of abuse?
That's kind of a special category, sir.
Making a child use the bathroom with someone who's obviously a pervert using the bathroom with the gender they weren't assigned. Is it on that level of awfulness?
All right. So when you hear how he's framing these things, he's taking a radical opposition view, co-opting rational responses to someone beating a child. You might call 911, you might intervene yourself, and this would be the mother of all false equivalencies, right? Child abuse, kid wearing a mask. There's just no connection to it. And again, I hate to even dignify it by putting the two things in the same sentence.
There's no,
but that's his goal.
Gave up as a 911 caller. You sucked. You either have to you have to demand to talk to my supervisor. That's one thing that you need to do. The other thing is you need to talk about how people are going to die if I don't get someone out there immediately. Number 3 is I'm telling you about an obvious case of child abuse, and if something happens to this child, it's going to be on you. So you're as a 911 caller, you failed. You have to ramp it up, and it's got to be the worst crime of the century. This has got to be the beginning of genocide. And I'm sure Tucker Carlson would be able to instruct and talk Karens through that sort of stuff as to what you need to do when you're brushed off by something that's obviously not a police response.
Right. All right. That's just enough of him. But I guess we have to pay attention to this because we can just assume that just as in the early days of Trump, trying to become a public figure and thinking about running for office in the early 2010s, to ignore him at your peril is your peril, right? Because people are listening.
Yeah,
people are listening to what he's saying.
Well, it's not just that, but he's a contender for the Republican nomination for president. As ridiculous as that sounds, if Donald Trump doesn't run, he's probably top 3.
Yeah. By the way, did you see that story? There are 3 or 4 at least Republican members of Congress who are doctors, MDs, and they have made a public service announcement to urge people to wear their masks, to tell their people to wear their masks. Now, that's just wonderful. That's great. Except here's the problem. You're a fucking Republican and you're part of a cult that has helped propagate this disease and be against the vaccine on the broad basis. And here we are almost to May, and now you have decided. And by the way, shouldn't you be banished from the party now for doing that?
Yeah, you should.
You're going right. So you had your Hippocratic oath on the one hand, right? And your first goal is to do no harm as a physician. And then you raise your other hand and you took an oath to the Constitution. Well, okay, you violated both of them at the same time, all right? Because you've been doing a lot of harm to people by just being a Republican who supported Donald Trump. I'm guessing, I don't have the names in front of me, I'm guessing several, maybe all of them are on the list of Republicans who voted not only to not convict Donald Trump during the impeachment trial, but were completely on board with the attempt to steal the election by fucking with the vote count in Georgia and other places where they tried to intervene at the federal level against state officials. Remember that big long petition that they all signed? They were all on board.
Yeah, they were.
So sorry, doctors, putting out some mealy-mouthed public service announcement, which I guarantee you will not be seen by any Republicans. That will not be shown anywhere, right? And you think they're going to run that on One America News or Newsmax?
No, I don't think it's going to happen.
During prime time on Fox after the My Pillow commercial? No, we're just going to talk about it and call these people out for the hypocrites they are. And by the way, where was Dr. Rand Paul?
Boom,
he's Dr. Rand Paul.
I'm glad that's where he is. Boom, we missed this story from a couple of days ago because we were off. Rand Paul calls for Joe Biden to burn face masks to promote the COVID vaccine. That's what your Duke University medical professional has to say about this, Brad. That's what the guy who got his his medical degree from Duke University.
Hold the phone here. I'm missing the connection here between the A train and the B train here. Why would getting rid of your mask, burning it symbolically, doing something like that, be promoting the vaccine?
Paul made his comment.
Again, Britt, I'm going to break some ground here. You ready? And nobody's ever said this before, but the best way to beat this virus is to get vaccinated and continue to do the things that make sense with distancing and masks when they're called for. And as you saw today, the CDC is lifting the barrier on masks officially outside, especially among people who've been vaccinated. Makes sense. But what the fuck is this? What is this all about? It isn't one or the other. It was never one or the other, Rand Paul. You quack.
Dr. Paul's comment came in reaction to a clip of infectious disease expert Dr. Fauci stating that vaccinated people are capable of infecting others with COVID-19 and thus should wear face masks. Shaking his head at Fauci's words, Paul said, if you want more people to get vaccinated, Joe Biden should go on national TV, take his mask off and burn it and say, I've had the vaccine and now I'm now safe from this plague. If you'll get the vaccine, you can be safe too. The words from Duke University medical doctor Rand Paul. Instead, Rand accused Fauci of fear-mongering. Rand said there is no evidence that people who get the vaccine are spreading COVID-19. He also said he would listen to Fauci if he could provide any evidence. That is why he is saying Joe Biden should have a mask-burning party right there, Brad. That is his logic. See, you're speechless at the stupidity of this, aren't you?
Because it just doesn't help.
Right.
It just doesn't help. And if Rand Paul thinks that he can vilify Fauci, who has changed and adjusted his advice and has been arguably very conservative, very, very conservative. Apparently conservative in this area is a bad thing, right, Britt?
Yeah.
It's horrible. Yeah. It's horrible to be safe rather than sorry later on. It's horrible to keep in the back of your mind while you're approaching how you're going to speak to the country on this. The fact that we're pushing close now to 600,000 dead people. We'll just put that out of your mind. You know, I'm trying to figure out which is more important that Republicans who are going to be running for office try to squash down and make irrelevant while you're bringing it up. January 6th or the death count from the coronavirus in the United States. Which one? Because both of them threaten our country in important and different ways. They're both important, but the Republicans are in full denial on both of them, don't you think? Or
Yeah,
at least
I wouldn't argue with it.
they're about ignoring them.
I wouldn't argue with that at all. I wouldn't argue with that at all, which brings us to the big story of the day we need to discuss before we get out of here. And that, of course, is the winners and losers from the release of the census numbers. Who is winning, who is losing. Texas gains a couple of seats. Florida gains a seat. California actually loses one. And some of those northern, more Democratic states losing a seat like New York, Illinois, and a couple of others. This effectively puts the Republicans in the driver's seat, I think, for the 2022 midterms in a big way, along with the gerrymandering and the voter suppression bills. Your take on what you just saw from those census numbers, Brad?
Well, first of all, and I don't mean to play skeptic here.
Sure.
But do the same people who don't believe we had an open and honest and fair election and that the votes weren't counted correctly, do they believe that the census numbers are dead on accurate? I'm just asking.
If it benefits Texas and Florida, and Republicans,
right.
Yeah, they'll believe it. Sure.
Right. I don't think. Well, first, this is not as bad as it could have been, because there was talk about Florida gaining 2, maybe 3. There was talk about Texas gaining 3.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. However, even if a state gains more seats, that doesn't mean they're Republican seats because they're Texas and Florida. It doesn't quite work that way. I mean, yes, in North Carolina, because we have full Republican control of both houses of the legislature, and they're run by 2 guys named Tim Moore and Phil Berger, yes, the likelihood that they will try to slice up this state so that they have another second-rate, ineffectual, backbencher, loser Republican elected to district number 14, I guess it's fairly high. You could say that.
Big time.
But the population growth in these states that gained, and even ones that didn't, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, those 3 Sun Belt states, the population growth, I believe, is 90% non-white. Over the last 10 years. That's not necessarily, but that's natural population growth, which isn't as high as it used to be, and incoming people. 90% brown. Now, you tell me, 90% brown is not necessarily a Republican win at all.
Although
general.
they did okay among brown folks in the 2020 election. I think.
I agree. I agree. They did much better than it was thought. But this isn't the be all and end all. I mean, you can reverse engineer what would have happened in the last election if this was the makeup of the Electoral College based on the number of representatives. And I think Biden would have lost about 5 or 6 electoral votes, and Trump, it wouldn't have changed. It wouldn't have changed the outcome. But you can't really do that either.
No.
Well, I think the most interesting part of the story, which will never go anywhere, but we can talk about it here because, well, we're a podcast, is that there are 435 seats in the House of Representatives. Why that number? What was that number sent down along with the 10 Commandments as God says? No. The answer to the question is because in 1929, I believe that was the year. A couple of years before that, Yankees had a hell of a team, Murderers Row, 1929. The legislature in Washington fixed the number, and the only way it could be changed is through, some kind of congressional action. And there should be more representatives. The problem is, how many people are represented by each representative? Well, back in 1929, every representative probably, if you divided up the whole country by 435, they're probably maybe 250 or 300,000 people. Now it's up to, I think, 700,000 or 800,000. Do the math. 435 times 700 gets you to 325, 330. You get it. So if the number of representatives in 1929 was calculated out to keep representing the same number of people in each district now, there would be approximately 1,700 members of the U.S. House of Representatives to keep that number at the right level. You follow what I'm saying there?
Right. It's about 700,000, but each congressional district is about 700,000 people.
Right. 700 times 435, 4 times 7 is 28, and then 35 times, okay. So that's how it works. So the number has been fixed all of those years.
Right.
It should be bigger. And the best example of that is fucking Montana.
Right.
Okay. Montana got an extra seat this time. They went from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Because it was decided that because Montana had 10% population growth in the last 10 years, that they crossed like 1 million people in Montana in one congressional district, because congressional districts are not allowed to cross state lines. So
Right.
Montana would theoretically have won forever if they didn't give them a second one. And so they did. So now Montana cuts it in two, and each representative now represents only 500,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Montanans have more representation per person than a lot of other states, most other districts, including this one, easily. So again, we're stuck in this. We have to keep doing things this way because we've always done it.
That's it.
And it's a bad situation. I don't think there should be a fixed number. I think it should change. Other countries change. Other countries have much larger legislatures than the United States, and I think that's a problem. But that's just me. What do I know? No, nothing.
Any thoughts on the rate of population growth, which is the lowest it's been since I think the Great Depression?
Well, yeah, because immigration is so far down.
Yeah,
we're not letting people in and we need more people. We do need more people,
right? And
that needs to change. And there's a lot of people, I guess, that are saying, well, why should I bring a kid into this world? Okay, well, what?
No, but if you
might bring the next. Well, okay, I was going to say Britt Whitmire, but that's not a good thing.
Rand Paul, the next Rand
Paul.
No, is this a win for the Republicans who can now claim it's because of birth control and Barack Obama and Joe Biden letting all them women abort all them babies? That's why we haven't had any population.
No, I don't think anybody's
claiming that.
No, I don't think anybody's claiming any kind of victory here over a small population growth, because if we're going to compete with other countries that are growing a lot faster than we are in all kinds of areas, we need more people. I believe the most striking example of that is at this moment, there are now more people in the United States over 80 than there are 2 and under. All right. A lot more older people.
But how many
not
times?
Not very many babies stepping in to replace them.
But don't you remember Donald Trump several times going, the country's full? That was his thing on immigration. We don't have any more room. The country's full. You remember that?
Yes, Britt. We need to defend ourselves against something stupid that Trump said and go, he said that, so that must be true. So we need to refute it.
We're digging out from his bullshit. I mean, this is more of him. We're digging out from his bullshit of him saying things like that.
He hasn't been president for
almost 100 days. So. I know. In the 4 years, everything just stopped on January the 20th, and all the bad effects of all the shit he did for 4 days just went away. Right?
He wasn't president for the first 6 years of the 2010s. So
I understand, but that 4 years in that 4 year he did a lot of damage. That 4 year he did a lot of damage to this country, both psychically and in real terms. So yeah, I mean, I think part of this is, if you want to, and they would always say this because people will go like, they're not having babies because they don't feel hopeful about what's going on in America. Well, yeah, I think for a few years people were waking up and going, I don't know, I don't think this is a good thing. I don't think this is what's going on right now is so great. So
I just don't think that most people think about that when it's.
Yeah, but that was still, whether they think about it or not. Again,
I was going to have one, but oh shit, Trump's president. I just don't.
but that was
I
something.
hate Trump, but I don't think
Brad,
people are thinking that.
Brad, that's what they would perpetuate for many years. Like when Clinton was in office and stuff, they would go, "Oh, it's bad in America. I'm not going to have a kid."
Right.
The Republicans
and guess what,
perpetuated
Britt?
that
Here
shit.
we go again. We're going to argue against something that was bullshit then by not saying it's bullshit now.
Well, we can't.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's any credence to it. I'm also saying that
That's
just
right,
because just because they said it doesn't mean it doesn't have some sort of effect. Just because we were like, oh, just because they said Donald Trump will make a good president, and we laughed it off. Oh, he'll never be president. That's crazy. It'll never happen.
But wait a minute.
Guess what? He was.
But wait a minute. If that was true at some level, then since everything that Trump put into the DNA of the thought patterns of the Republican Party and his followers, their whole thing. What? Hang on, Britt. What would be the most egregious, outstanding, beyond belief refutation and owning of the libs by Trump people? It would be having more white babies, right? More white babies, and that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Because as Tucker says, they're being replaced. They're being replaced.
Right.
Like Tucker says.
Right. Well, guess what? Guess
they're
what?
Not.
They're not. We're just being added to. But looks to me like, again, with that census, I think we're finding that the demographic changes that are happening to the country as it gets browner and darker, they are happening. Mm-hmm. They're absolutely happening, and there's no turning back from it. I guess the only way to try to stem that is to shoot black guys in the back while they're running from you.
Jeez,
that'll cut down the number of them.
What do you know? That seems to be happening for some reason.
Yeah. And you know what? On Wednesday we'll catch up with the whole Elizabeth City thing. It's probably best to just let the whatever facts there are associated with the case continue to play out here before we comment. But my goodness, I think the only thing I saw over in right-wingy, worldy, foxy world of that is they went big with the, he has a rap sheet, as long the guy has got more. And again, this guy may have been a drug deal. Again, that's a sideshow. Yeah. Because it does not matter. It does not matter at any given moment what your track record was, what your rap sheet was, how many times you'd been arrested. If at the moment you're stopped by the police in a car and they apparently shoot you in the back of the head, at least 5 times. So to bring that up right now to the right wingers to salve their consciences, which they don't have, is to try to say, well, this guy must have at some level really deserved it. He really got what was coming to him, and that wouldn't have happened to him if he wasn't. Okay, I know there's a lot of people that want to be thinking that, but that's a real dangerous road to go down, and there's a whole media racist complex out there to feed that every time. And by the way, that extends, of course, back to George Floyd. Sure. It extends back to several of these high-profile cases. The equivalent of you were raped because you were wearing a tight skirt kind of stuff. You deserved it. Right. And so that, I guess they're going to go there. I'd be very hesitant to play not only that card, which is racist, but to jump ahead here. Although I think it's kind of fair to say, guess what? When they only let 20 seconds of a video get out there, they're really hiding something bad.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't feel like it.
Feels like
a fact.
Yeah,
it's just it's not even a feeling. It's just a fact. And I still, for the life of me, am unable to get the straight story on why North Carolina is so antediluvian behind the times on releasing police camera video.
Well, they let the family, but Brad, they let the family see it. Shouldn't that be enough?
For 20 seconds?
Jesus.
That's nothing. No, that is nothing. They didn't let anybody see any. That's bullshit.
It's ridiculous.
It's crap.
It's ridiculous.
You know what you did? You made it worse. You made it worse by doing 20 seconds. You absolutely made it worse.
You did.
Well, what did you think they were going to go? Well, we saw 20. We're happy.
Looks
We're-
good.
what-
We were
what the hell
totally
did they
wrong.
think?
We take it all back.
Yeah, he deserved it. He
Yep.
really
Had it coming.
really deserved
Sure.
it. All right, but more on that tomorrow. And I think I could flip this LeBron James card that I have to.
Okay.
You know who will buy this one? The same idiot that paid $1 million more for the house down in Palm Beach, Hannity. I think
Get the Hannity email ready.
I think I could dump this card now for $7 million to him.